Everyone in the estate thought Adaora was mad, or worse, a witch. How else could they explain a mother who changed her baby's name every single day? From Chukwuemeka to Jason to David, the whispers turned into full-blown accusations, and soon Adaora became the most hated woman in the neighborhood. Even her own husband began to doubt her sanity. But behind the strange behavior was a secret so powerful, it could change thousands of lives across Nigeria. What looked like madness was hiding a miracle, and when the truth finally came out, the entire country was left speechless. This is her story. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more teachable and inspiring folk tales by FE. Adaora had always been the kind of woman people whispered about, not because she did anything particularly strange, but because she was different. She was quiet, kept to herself, and didn't mingle much with the other residents of the bustling Lagos estate where she lived with her husband, Chuka. Most of the neighbors dismissed her as too proud or too secretive, but that was just how Adaora had always been, reserved, focused on her own life, and uninterested in idle gossip. But after she gave birth to her first child, the whispers turned into full-blown suspicion. At first, everyone congratulated her. The baby was beautiful, a chubby little boy with bright eyes and a smile that melted hearts. Neighbors dropped by with gifts and well wishes, and Chuka couldn't have looked prouder. But it didn't take long before people started noticing something odd. Every day, Adaora called her baby by a different name. One day, she introduced him to a neighbor as Chukwuemeka. The next day, when the same neighbor stopped by, Adaora referred to him as David. Then, a few days later, it was Jason. It wasn't just once or twice. It happened over and over, until everyone in the estate was buzzing with confusion and alarm. At first, they gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she hadn't decided on a name yet. Maybe she and Chuka were still arguing over what to call the baby. But as days turned into weeks and Adaora continued switching names like clockwork, the rumors began. Quiet murmurs at first, then louder conversations in corridors, at the estate's gate, and even in church. Some said she was mentally unstable after childbirth. Others went further, whispering darkly that she was using the baby for strange rituals, that no normal mother would change her child's name every single day unless something sinister was at play. Chuka at first brushed it off. He told his friends and his mother that people liked to talk too much. But soon even he couldn't ignore the pattern. When he asked Adaora why she kept changing the baby's name, she would only say, "It's personal, Chuka. Please trust me." But how could he trust her when she refused to explain? He started coming home late, avoiding conversation, and his usually warm eyes grew cold and suspicious. His mother, Mama Chuka, called constantly, demanding to know what was happening and warning him to be careful. "That woman is not normal," she hissed over the phone one night. "You better keep an eye on her before something bad happens." Meanwhile, Adaora felt the walls closing in. Everywhere she went, she could feel the stares, hear the whispers. Mothers pulled their children away when she walked by. The woman who sold groceries at the estate gate started acting strangely, handing Adaora her change with shaking hands and avoiding eye contact. Even at church, where Adaora had once felt safe, people looked at her with thinly veiled fear. The isolation was suffocating. The worst part was that she couldn't tell anyone the real reason behind the name changes, not even Chuka. It wasn't because she didn't want to, it was because she couldn't. Adaora had signed strict confidentiality papers when she agreed to be part of a groundbreaking medical trial at a top Lagos hospital. Her son had been born with a rare genetic anomaly that the doctors were desperate to study. The trial required them to monitor not just his physical health, but also how different legal identities might impact medical data tracking. Each day they assigned her baby a new name for the records, and she was required to call him by that name at all times to maintain consistency. The paperwork was complex and the rules even stricter. Adaora had asked countless times if she could tell her husband, but the doctors warned her that any leaks could jeopardize the entire research. The stakes were too high, and Adaora had agreed to stay silent for the sake of her baby's health and for the sake of science. But now that silence was tearing her life apart. Her husband no longer trusted her, her neighbors saw her as a witch, and even her job was beginning to feel the strain as co-workers caught wind of the estate drama. The estate's WhatsApp group chat was filled with cryptic messages and side comments that everyone knew were aimed at her. Videos of Adaora holding her baby and calling him by different names started circulating online, fueling even more gossip and suspicion. One afternoon, as Adaora sat alone in her living room rocking her baby, today named Emmanuel, she felt tears sting her eyes. She looked down at her innocent son, oblivious to the chaos around him, and whispered, "One day, they'll understand. One day they'll know why I had to do this." But as the sun set and she heard more hushed conversations outside her door, she couldn't help but wonder how much longer she could keep the truth hidden, and whether her family would survive the weight of the secret. Unknown to everyone, a storm was coming, and when the truth finally broke, it would shake the entire estate to its core. As the pressure mounted, Adaora's world began to crumble piece by piece. The gossip that had once been whispers had now become an open attack. Neighbors no longer bothered to hide their disdain. Each time Adaora stepped out with her baby, she was met with side eyes and hushed tones. The most devastating blow came when Chuka's mother, Mama Chuka, decided she had seen enough from afar and moved into their home without so much as asking. She arrived one evening with her suitcase and a firm declaration. "I can't sit back and watch you destroy my son's family. I'm here to protect my grandson." From that moment, Adaora lost any remaining peace in her own home. Mama Chuka followed her everywhere, keeping a hawk's eye on her every move. If Adaora called the baby by a name, Mama Chuka would snap, "Which one is that again?" The 7th name this week. Every feeding, every diaper change was scrutinized. Chuka, caught in the middle, had become a shadow of himself, drifting further away emotionally. Though he didn't openly accuse Adaora of wrongdoing, his silence was loud. The love and trust that had once bonded them now felt fragile and strained. Outside the home, things were just as bad. Neighbors had started filming Adaora from their balconies, especially whenever she addressed her baby in public. The videos were shared online, quickly going viral with captions like "modern-day witch in Lekki" and "mother or monster." People who didn't even know her weighed in, some calling for her arrest, others for Child Protective Services to intervene. It wasn't long before the drama seeped into her professional life. Adaora, a respected project manager at a tech firm, was summoned by HR. They were polite but firm. "Adaora, there's a situation we need to discuss," her manager said gently. "The videos circulating are creating a lot of bad press. Some clients are concerned. We need to know, are you okay? Is your child safe?" Adaora's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. "My baby is perfectly fine. This is a private matter. Please understand, I can't say more right now." The HR team exchanged uneasy glances, clearly not satisfied but unsure how to proceed. She left the meeting knowing her job was hanging by a thread, her career at risk of being shattered by rumors and misunderstandings. Despite everything, Adaora stayed silent, fiercely protecting her baby. Behind closed doors, she continued working closely with Dr. Ajayi, the high-profile geneticist leading the groundbreaking DNA research. The stakes of the project were enormous. Her son, born with a rare genetic anomaly, was part of a confidential medical trial that aimed to develop revolutionary treatments for infants with similar conditions. The trial required daily monitoring and, incredibly, a daily identity reset to protect the integrity of the research. Each name Adaora used wasn't random. It was assigned by the research team, logged meticulously to match specific data points for the study. She had signed strict confidentiality papers and was reminded regularly that breaching them could halt the entire project and cause legal havoc. The weight of that responsibility pressed down on her every day, but her commitment to her son's health was stronger than her fear. Still, the walls were closing in. She could feel the tension in her bones, sense the boiling point approaching. Her instincts told her something was coming, but she didn't expect it to arrive so suddenly. One evening, just after putting the baby to sleep, today's name was Toby, a sharp knock echoed through the apartment. Mama Chuka immediately sprang up from her seat, eyes narrowed. "Who's that at this hour?" she muttered suspiciously. Adara's heart raced as she approached the door. She opened it cautiously, and there stood a woman she didn't recognize, poised, holding a press badge. "Good evening," the woman said calmly. "My name is Amaka Uzo, an investigative journalist. I've been following your story, and I believe there's more here than what people are saying. I'm here because I want to know your truth." Adaora's breath caught. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the truth was finally ready to break free. The knock that evening brought Amaka Uzo, a well-known investigative journalist with a reputation for digging beneath the surface. Standing confidently at the door, Amaka introduced herself and explained that she had been following Adaora's story for weeks. "I know the public has made up their mind about you," she said carefully, "but my gut tells me there's more to this than the rumors. I'm here to listen if you're ready to talk." Adaora hesitated for a moment, weighing her options. The confidentiality agreement still lingered in her mind, but the situation had spiraled so far out of control that keeping silent was no longer an option. She looked over at her baby, sleeping peacefully in his crib, and felt a rush of determination. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about setting the record straight and protecting her son's future. "Come in," she said quietly. Over the next hour, Adaora poured out the entire truth. She explained everything, how her baby had been born with a rare genetic disorder that no one in Nigeria had much experience with, how the doctors had offered a chance to be part of a groundbreaking research project that could change lives, and how the daily name changes were a crucial part of the trial to ensure the data remained uncontaminated. She detailed her struggles, her isolation, and the immense pressure she had endured to keep her silence. Amaka listened carefully, taking notes, asking sharp but respectful questions, and nodding as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. "This is huge," Amaka said when the interview wrapped up. "I think the whole country deserves to hear your side of the story." True to her word, Amaka's exclusive report aired nationwide just days later. The documentary-style piece was powerful and emotional, complete with interviews from Dr. Ajayi and the research team who confirmed everything Adaora had said. There were even clips from international experts explaining the significance of the study and how it had the potential to save thousands of Nigerian babies in the future. The footage of Adaora, holding her baby with quiet strength, was raw and compelling. The story painted her not as a witch, but as a mother who had made extraordinary sacrifices for the greater good. The reaction was immediate. Overnight, Adaora's life transformed. Strangers who once crossed the street to avoid her now sent messages of support and admiration. The same neighbors who had mocked her lined up to apologize in person. Some even broke down in tears, confessing how ashamed they were for jumping to conclusions. Mama Chuka, perhaps the most humbled of all, fell to her knees one morning, weeping and clutching Adaora's hands. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I should have trusted you. I should have stood by you. Please forgive me." Chuka, who had watched everything unfold with a mixture of guilt and relief, embraced Adaora tightly one night after the baby had fallen asleep. "You were right all along," he whispered. "I'm sorry I doubted you. You're stronger than I ever knew." Adaora accepted the apologies with grace but stayed focused on what mattered most: her baby. Emmanuel, now officially and permanently named, was thriving. His health had improved significantly thanks to the trial, and every smile, every giggle felt like a small victory. Watching him play on the rug one quiet afternoon, Adaora felt a deep sense of peace. Everything she had endured, the shame, the isolation, the judgment, had been worth it. In the end, Adaora's biggest reward wasn't the newfound respect or the glowing headlines that called her a hero and a pioneer. It was Emmanuel's laughter, his tiny hands reaching up for her, and the knowledge that her courage had not only saved him, but would pave the way for countless other children facing the same challenges. What the world had once seen as madness was, in truth, a miracle, just misunderstood. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more teachable and inspiring folk tales by FE.